eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going on?
No matter how far you go into the dark, when you flip, you go exactly the same place to the light in our galaxy. Everything. Because everything is in balance. Everything is a polarity.
I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is.
We made it. We made it. I apologize, nature calls. Sometimes nature calls. Welcome, guys. Thank you for being here. 50,000 of you guys. 55,000 actually, but I mean, that's just how crazy things are right now. Well, I don't know what to say. We hit 50K on like Monday or Tuesday, and it's Sunday. Now we're at 55. I haven't really done anything special. Nothing new has happened. The algorithm gods are just looking upon us with favor. And I have to thank you guys as well for that, because the support is honestly just unreal. And we've got a really fun show today. So guys, we're going to be doing basically kind of like a weird week. We've got a bunch of topics and a bunch of different clips to look at in today's show. Once that is done, we are going to be going over to Twitch and basically just continuing the fun. Not as much of a show over there, more just kind of hanging out and chatting with you guys, because that is what I love doing. I just want to hang out here and go back and forth. And that's what we'll do later. Suki is here. And given that it's a party, of course, you can't have a party without some treats, right? Some little snacks. And as you can tell, Suki, who normally likes to work from more of a horizontal position, usually a little bit more relaxed than this, that is because she knows that there are snacks in the house. And it would be rude not to start off the stream without giving her one. There we go. So say hello to Suki. She'll be getting plenty of those today to celebrate. And let's go through what we've got here before we get into the show. James King celebrating the first comment and 3 months as a member. Mish has gifted a membership. Thank you very much, Mish. Rory has become a new weirdo. Rory, you little 4-letter freak. Thank you very much. And Taris has gifted 5, 10, 15 memberships, all in lots of 5. What an absolute legend. Thank you very much, sir. I don't even know what to say. You guys are just pouring in with the super chats right now. Thank you all so much for the support, honestly. L with $2. Oh, snap, my night just got better. What up, family? What up, L? Thank you for being here. 420 Breezy, $10. How y'all doing, man? Woo. I'm watching with P Shaw. Shout out to you, bro. Thank you for the $10, and shout out to P Shaw. Guys, a lot of you have been saying recently that, your pets love watching Suki, and that like when Suki's on the screen here, your pets get excited. So if that is the case, make sure you've got some snacks for your pets, because we don't want your pets feeling left out. And I know, like, whenever I leave the house, I always put on some dog TV for Suki, and have another one. And she likes that. So hopefully yours do too. And I don't want them feeling left out. So make sure when Suki gets a snack, your dog gets it, or your cat gets a snack, or P-Shaw gets a snack. And Serpenter with $50. Polarity changed my life. Great work, Josh and Suki. Wow. Thank you very much, man. What do you say to that other than thank you, dude? It means a lot. It means a lot. And it's changed my life too, literally. Collectively, you guys have changed my life. And it's only gotten better, and I think it's going to keep going that way. And I'm excited. I don't ever plan to just sort of like rest. I'm not really a rester. I always want to level up and make things bigger and better and improve. That's just the way I am with myself, and that is the way I treat this channel. So trust me, there are exciting things to come very soon, actually. Where are we? We're in the middle of September. Polarity's first birthday is the 1st of November. That's when I uploaded my first YouTube video. Well, my first Polarity YouTube video. I think if you go back on my channel, you can find some old World of Warcraft videos. But the first Polarity video was on the 1st of November last year. So we will be doing another, I think the next party we have will be to celebrate that. And that's where I'll be making a bit of an exciting announcement that will probably signify some like little changes to the channel, but also some other exciting things as well. nothing negative. No negative changes, but it'll just be a little bit different. There was one more thing I wanted to add on there. Oh, it was the fact that I don't know if we'll be doing celebration streams every 10K from here, especially if it keeps going at this rate, because it kind of loses the novelty, right? Like, these are meant to be fun celebration streams, and they are. Don't worry, we'll have music at the after party. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. Make sure you're there. If you don't know what Twitch is and you have no idea what I'm talking about, don't worry, I got you. There is a link below already in the description for that. But when we get to the end of the stream, for those of you that are hanging out, I'll make sure I explain what's going on there. But we'll be heading to Twitch later for a bit of fun. But we're going to get into some topics today. We have basically the whole debate over what's going on with this new UAP video. Some people think it's a balloon. Kind of wild. We're going to hear from Anna Paulina Luna, just kind of following up on how she feels about the hearing. We've got some weird videos of like this weird life form that has arrived on a comet. Ironically, I kind of covered something that looks similar in my very first ever Weird Week video, for those of you who have been around a long time. We're gonna look at a few clips from the Sam Altman Tucker Carlson interview. And we're going to look at a lady getting triggered by robots. So we got a bit of everything today, which is always fun. So we're going to be jumping around, lots of different topics. And Daria with $5. Love watching you live, your streams. Congrats on 55K. Thank you very much, Daria. I appreciate you. And Adam Dev with $5. Got to look up large triangle UFO spotted in Kissimmee, Florida. Uploaded by Tales from Out There, and go to 120. Thank you, Adam. And that actually reminds me, I'm doing a video. It might come out tomorrow or maybe the day after, but I'm excited for it. Okay, I'm excited for it. I don't know if it's going to do well or not, but you know, sometimes I upload videos because I feel like I just want to document it for the channel, because I like to sort of, you know, it's like a collection thing. I like to sort of cover things, even if I'm not hyper interested in it. If I feel like if it's kind of value to the topic, I'll still document it. But then sometimes there are videos that I'm excited to make, and that is the one tomorrow. And it has to do with what we've heard from the hearings and a few other connections that I've made. And that comment right there may add to the video. So I'll have to make a mental note about that. Hopefully remember to check it. Chances are I won't, because I know what I'm like. But hopefully. But thank you very much, Adam. So let's you know what? Let's give Suki one more treat, and then we will get into our first clips of the day. These treats are quite tougher than the last ones, but that's good because she can kind of fight for it a little bit. Still need to get that crunch mic, because she really does make, these ones are good for the crunch. Patrick the Anti-Catholic with $5 says, every Abrahamic religion worships a God that demands and favors child sacrifice. When that stops, the world gets much better. Wake up, people. You know, I don't fully disagree with you, but I don't fully agree with you either. I think what you've said there is a little bit of a blanket statement and kind of implicates a lot of good people who maybe follow those religions, but don't necessarily agree with sacrificing children. But I understand what you're saying, and I see where you're coming from 100%. All right, let's get into the show. We're not jumping onto X just yet, but we will be. We will be braving the depths, the murky depths of X. Oh, and I just realized I'm not even here. There I am. My bad. If you guys were here for yesterday's stream, you would have realized that we had a few camera problems, but we're good. We're good. We're back. All right. So Noah Anderson, you little freak. Thank you very much for becoming a member. Check out the members only content after the stream. Not right now. Just wait. Wait until the stream's done. So, okay. I don't have the original because I'm sure we've all seen it many, many times by now, but there is a new video that just came out in Congress of what is apparently a Hellfire missile splitting a UAP, and the UAP kind of breaks off into a few pieces, and the pieces seem to follow the object. Okay, not how you would expect something that just got blown out of the air to behave. Okay, people are speculating that it's a balloon, namely,
and I know it sucks.
Chris Lehto. And if you guys don't know who Chris Lehto is, Chris Lehto he's a content creator now, but he used to be a fighter pilot for the United States Air Force, and he got into this topic basically since 2017, and hearing Commander Fravor and I guess resonating with another fighter pilot and like understanding his language and his approach, being a fighter pilot himself, and it really kind of woke him up to this kind of world of UAP. And I don't know how, but I actually remember the first video that Chris uploaded, and I watched it, and I was like, oh, this guy seems cool. Like, you know, he's got experience as a fighter pilot. So I've basically been following him. I don't watch all of his videos, but I've been following him since literally his first video, and I've even referenced some of his stuff in my work as well. Seems like a really nice guy, really like genuine intent, and also looks so much like Tony Hawk, which is just another random fact that I find interesting. Not that there's a conspiracy there. I'm not saying he is Tony Hawk, but it's just, you know, a cool data point. But what I do find weird is that he is like adamant that this is a balloon. And, you know, I've seen this a few times where people who usually approach this topic with quite an open mind sometimes seem to like randomly come out with a very like, no, this is 100% a balloon, or this is 100% fake, or whatever. I haven't listened to this full clip yet because I've just seen a little bit and I've seen the title, and I know that Chris is very much like, it's a balloon, like straight up, which for me seems a little bit out of character for Chris, because like I said, he's usually pretty like kind of like me, just sort of on the fence, you know, not absolute either way. So let's listen to Chris give his analysis of this video. And remember, this is coming from the perspective of a former fighter pilot. So I'm interested to see what he has to say. DTZ with $8. Thank you very much. Paris Diamonds with 5 says, I say it was a recorded test being passed off as an unknown deliberately. I'll give you my thoughts after this analysis because honestly, Chris may change my mind. I'm interested to see what he has to say.
To hear this, I'm sure you guys are excited about the video. I was excited as well, but let's go through it at 0.25 speed and you can see what I mean. Okay, so again, tracking the object, and if you look closely at the object, you'll see it's kind of moving. I mean, it looks like a balloon. It's in white hot, I believe, because the missile is white. And I'm sure that the tail end of that missile, even if the rocket's not firing, the Apache pilot told me it fires for about 4 to 5 seconds. It's going to be supersonic. It is white as well. So you will see the exhaust from the missile will be white. So I think we're actually in a white hot form. And again, like any fighter pilot worth his salt is going to go black hot, white hot, and go to TV mode, especially for battle damage assessment to see what actually happened or to identify this thing. You're not just going to stick in one mode unless you're targeting it, right? And you're worried about losing the lock. But this guy is not targeting it with the missile. The other MQ-9 shot the Hellfire and is targeting it either with a laser or with the radar. We don't know. So we'll see here, LRD lays designator. I don't believe he's lasing. Normally you get some laser indicator firing. Plus you don't want to shoot, you don't want to laze from this side. You'd obviously laze from the other side where the missile is shooting from. Okay, I mentioned the parallax before. So the MQ-9 that we're viewing this from is flying through the air. Okay, so if you're tracking an object in the middle, the object could just be going with the wind, being basically stationary, although there will surely be some wind. And so that's what we're seeing in the background is just the waves going by. So here comes the missile. It's white hot, like I said. Okay, and it just deflects. You see the missile going through. So it did not detonate. So the missile goes there. And now watch this, the object, okay? To me, it literally just looks like a balloon that didn't pop, right? It's lower altitude balloon, but is literally just wavering. I mean, if it's not under that much of pressure, then to me, that's what a balloon would look like if you hit it with a missile. There's Burleson with Grush behind him. Now they go to wide field view and people say, well, you can see the main object and then the 3 other objects traveling in the same line. And again, that this could be falling. If you notice, it is having trouble tracking, and it does look lower than the original cursor placement. So I think it is falling, and that's what we're seeing is the balloon and parts of the balloon or object, which to me looks like a balloon, in separate parts now falling. It's descending. And then we're seeing the motion. It's apparent motion from parallax. So I think this is easily debunkable. It didn't do anything anomalous. I think if you shot an Hellfire at 10 balloons and video them and just only white hot, because you cannot change to black hot or TV. Like,
I mean, you know, I feel a little bit silly trying to argue with someone who's flown fighter jets before. You know what I mean? But I just don't think I get what he's saying. And also, shout out to Red Panda Koala. Like, basically, I've just... For today's show, I literally just scraped his Twitter for, like, the latest clips. I mean, the dude's up to date. Him and many other accounts, by the way. But today, Red Panda just had the goods for me, so shout out to him. What I don't understand... Okay, this is why I'm struggling with the idea that it's a balloon. Let me just play this with no sound so I can talk. When this thing collides with it, you're seeing it breaks, okay? You're seeing 3 to 4 pieces, or whatever we want to call of it, break off. There, you can see them clearly. Now, if a balloon breaks, a balloon stops flying. If a balloon breaks, it begins to disintegrate and probably just descend straight down pretty quickly, right? So there's that bit that I'm struggling with. If a balloon is hit with a Hellfire missile, which Chris Lehto says the Hellfire missile doesn't detonate. Now, I did a quick look online. Am I wrong? And I could be, because I'm not a military guy. Hellfire missiles are not meant to detonate. From what I read, they are basically like a flying set of knives that are just meant to just tear something to shreds. Someone's saying it does explode. It wasn't the exploding Hellfire, it's the bladed one that doesn't detonate. Okay, so there's different variations of a Hellfire missile. Okay, that's helpful. Well, it's helpful, but it's not helpful in solving this, because do we know which one? I would think if this was a balloon, you would use the bladed one, right? Because that should tear it to shreds. And okay, let's go along with the idea that this is a balloon, and they did use a bladed Hellfire missile, and it's hit it. You now have, like, this is what I don't understand. Okay, you've hit this balloon. Now the balloon keeps moving at, like, the same speed, and the pieces of the balloon continue to follow it. This is what I don't understand. Like, this doesn't behave like a balloon to me at all. And this is why I find it odd, because Chris, I get it. Like, he comes from a fighter pilot background, so he probably feels like, there's like some sort of authority in his opinion there, which I totally respect. But also, I think it's important to remember that, like, if this is like some kind of plasma, which, again, I'm no plasma expert, but from what we've seen on videos of plasma, how plasma like seems to behave, if you watch any of like Ashton Forbes's work on that kind of stuff, it seems far more likely that this is some kind of like potentially sentient plasma, right? Because there have been papers written, like not even recently, like last year, about intelligent plasma that is sentient. And, I've seen videos, I've seen in real life multiple times these things in the sky that I can only describe as looking like stars that seem to just kind of wriggle around and like move around the sky in turning in weird little directions. They look just like stars from the ground. I don't know actually how far away they are. They're probably not as far away as the stars. But when you look up at a night sky, they could blend in with them quite easily. But then you realize that they're behaving very differently. So when there's papers written about the possibility of like this sentient plasma, like this life form that is essentially just a different state of matter that is intelligent, that can like when this breaks and you see the pieces detach or whatever you want to call it, it seems like they're preparing to sort of self-reorganize and self-attach again and come back together. This thing just doesn't seem to move like a balloon, behave like I would expect a balloon to behave when it gets popped. Yeah, I mean, there's just nothing about this to me that feels like a balloon. And that's why I feel like this is a really kind of odd take from Chris, because he generally, from my understanding, is very like pro like UFO. You know what I mean? Like he's a believer. He's 100% a believer. It's certainly a very fast balloon. That too, we'll play it again. We'll play it again with Chris's analysis one more time. But that is another thing. There could be parallax, and there probably is parallax here. And also, Chris is speaking like this is being filmed from a fighter jet, when I think it's being filmed from a drone, which I guess is similar, maybe has similar camera housing and whatever, sensor systems. But is that actually confirmed? Like, do we know what this was filmed from? Did they say it was filmed from an RQ drone? Okay, let's watch this again. Let's watch Chris one more time and see if we pick up on anything that he missed. Just quickly though, Hellfire won't ricochet off a balloon. That too, Daniel. That's a good point. Like, if a missile hits a balloon that is essentially just like some sort of material filled with air, essentially, surely a missile is just going to rip straight through that thing. It's not going to like change its course slightly. I mean, again, maybe I'm wrong. We don't really have weapons in this country, or use them or talk about them as often, but let me know if you think I'm wrong. Noah Anderson, $20. Let's go, weirdos. Found you while working East Coast, USA. Never stop telling the truth, brother. God bless. And that precious doggy. Thank you very much, bro. And we will play this clip and we will give Suki a little snack for that one. Thank you, Noah.
And I know it sucks to hear this. I'm sure you guys are excited about the video. I was excited as well. But let's go through it at 0.25 speed and you can see what I mean. Okay, so again, tracking the object, and if you look closely at the object, you'll see it's kind of moving. I mean, it looks like a balloon. It's in white hot, I believe, because the missile is white. And I'm sure that the tail end of that missile, even if the rocket's not firing, the Apache pilot told me it fires for about 4 to 5 seconds. It's going to be supersonic. It is white as well. So you will see the exhaust from the missile will be white. So I think we're actually in a white hot form. And again, like, any fighter pilot worth his salt is going to go black hot, white hot, and go to TV mode, especially for battle damage assessment to see what actually happened or to identify this thing. You're not just going to stick in one mode unless you're targeting it, right? And you're worried about losing the lock.
So, and I just wonder here, and again, I'm not saying this is the case because I'm not going to argue with a fighter pilot, but I'm just wondering, is Chris analyzing this video from the perspective of a fighter pilot that is analyzing prosaic, normal things that a fighter pilot would encounter? And also, let's not forget, Chris hasn't been a fighter pilot for, I believe, and this could be wrong, but like a while, maybe 10 years, maybe more, give or take. Things could have changed by then. You might have different protocols when you're not looking at something normal. Maybe they specifically wanted to record this in this type of imaging because of what it was. I feel like there are other things at play here that Chris could just be assuming because he does have a wealth of knowledge as a fighter pilot, but it may not be that. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Also, guys, slap a like on the video for 50K, please.
But this guy is not targeting it with the missile. The other MQ-9 shot the Hellfire and is targeting it either with a laser or with the radar. We don't know. So we'll see here. LRD lays designator. I don't believe he's lasing. Normally you get some laser indicator firing. Plus you don't want to shoot. You don't want to laze from this side.
Also, this is just something I thought of, and I could be wrong, but balloons that get shot down, like for example, the Chinese spy balloon that got shot down like 2 or 3 years ago. From memory, that thing was at like 70,000 feet, 60,000 feet. Like it was really, really high up. And that is that is what they're for. Like those balloons that get shot down are generally spy balloons, or they're doing some kind of like super high altitude reconnaissance or something like that. This video, like you can see, I mean, when I pause it, it kind of goes blurry, but look at the video. You can see the detail in what I believe to be the ocean. Like that looks like the ocean below it, because it's kind of rippling. I don't know if you could see the ocean with that detail and have a balloon so high. A balloon's not going to be at like 30,000 feet, especially if it's not meant to be there. It's just going to get, not only is it going to be in the way of air traffic potentially, but it's just going to be like so obvious. Like I believe the purpose of a balloon is to be kind of like not stealthy, but not super visible, right? You can kind of see detail in the ocean here. This is just my own speculation, by the way. I could be wrong.
The other side where the missile is shooting from. Okay, I mentioned the parallax before. So the MQ-9 that we're viewing this from is flying through the air. Okay, so if you're tracking an object in the middle, the object could just be going with the wind, being basically stationary, although there will surely be some wind. And so that's what we're seeing in the background, is just the waves going by. So here comes the missile. It's white hot, like I said. Okay, and it just deflects. You see the missile going through, so it did not detonate. The missile goes there. And now watch this, the object, okay? To me, it literally just looks like a balloon that didn't pop, right? It's lower altitude balloon, but is literally just wavering.
So I think maybe what Chris is getting at here is what you can see there, how the object kind of starts sort of like doing this like weird little thing. However, I would argue that when we get these kind of close-ups of these plasmoid looking things, that is what they do. Like when you get these close-up videos of these drones, whatever you want to call them, or these plasmoids or these balls of light, they're not just like, they don't look like the moon. They don't look like just a solid orb. They're like pulsating and glowing and kind of moving. And that is what it seems like this thing is doing after it's been hit. And the 3 parts that break away from it, or there may even be 4, not only, I mean, it's hard to tell from this angle, but you could draw an equilateral triangle between those pieces. And, you know, I mean, you guys can't see my mouse, but the one in the middle on the right-hand side could be like this point, and you could go down, up, and across, like depending on the angle you're looking at it. They could be in that triangular formation, which is, you know, I know Patrick Jackson has already tweeted about this, saying that like this is a type 2 sphere formation, and it might be. But whether it is or isn't, the fact that these things don't just kind of like disintegrate and fall away like you would expect the scraps of a balloon to, they seem to follow it. And if this thing is like a plasmoid, or, you know, whatever we want to call it, if it has been split open, it seems like, you know, almost like when a snake gets cut. The piece that gets cut is still alive. It's still kind of like somehow receiving some kind of signals from the brain. It's still connected and acting in accordance to the body.
I mean, if it's
Like, because those things at the behind it, those three spheres are holding a pretty rigid formation. They're not just flapping away in the wind.
It's not under that much of pressure. Then to me, that's what a balloon would look like if you hit it with a missile. I don't. There's Burleson with Grush behind him. Now they go to wide field view, and people say, well, you can.
So I don't know. Do I have it saved here? So you guys know, or some of you guys might know, Pro Pixel Analysis on X. He usually breaks down a lot of the UAP videos. We've looked at him before. He does he did the recent one with the guy throwing the frisbee to his dog off the cliff or off a hill. No, I don't have it saved. He didn't do a full analysis on it, but he looked at some pictures, and he's pretty good with his analysis. Like, he's got good compositing skills. He understands how to break things down. He doesn't think it's a balloon at all. So, you know, interesting. I think I disagree with Chris on this one, and, you know, I do feel a little bit funny saying that because he's literally a fighter pilot, but I just can't see it. And respectfully too, like I said, I'm a fan of Chris's, and you know, and I will just say this, by the way, if this is a balloon, if it is, what does that mean? Because I'm pretty sure David Grush brought this video forward, like this, and some, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, someone in the chat. If David Grush has brought this video into Congress through Eric Burleson and it's a balloon, then disclosure is over, bro. Or at least the disclosure that, like, we want. If this is a balloon, we are on track for, like, the controlled disclosure that is carefully curated to protect all the insiders of crimes, bring some technology into the mainstream, and people take zero accountability for all the things that they've committed. Okay, we're going to get the controlled, boring disclosure that probably doesn't really change the world very much. And I am firm in my belief that the disclosure we want, like the disclosure, the level of information that we want disclosed, will only come with like a literal... I'm trying to pick the right word here because I don't want to sound wrong, but it will only come with a literal, like, knock it down, start again of pretty much the entire establishment. I really think that, like, the disclosure we all really want requires, like, a destruction and rebuilding of government and basically, like, laws. All laws. Otherwise, it's always going to be this weird power struggle. It's always going to be people in the shadows pulling the strings. Like this, that will not change. People are not going to just walk into Congress and go, oh, handcuff me. Yep, sorry. Yep, we've been orchestrating false flags and manipulating the entire population for 70 years. Yep, oh, sorry about that. That's not going to happen, bro. That is not going to happen. If we want actual disclosure, it is going to require probably what is happening in Nepal right now. And we're actually going to look at that quickly in today's show. Not that I'm advocating for it. I would never advocate for something like that, but that is just what I think. If we actually want the truth, the level of truth we want, it's not going to come through, you know, passing bills and shit like that. I don't think. I hope it does, but I don't think it will. Anyway, let's, okay, we'll catch up on a few chats, and then we're going to hear from Anna Paulina Luna, and just her thoughts on the hearing itself. Three Eyes. This is some kind of electromagnetically confined plasma drone hints why the pieces that break off stay with the orb and why every video is in FLIR. Yeah. Basically what I said, bro. I feel like it is some kind of intelligent plasma. Absolutely. Hellfire won't ricochet off a balloon from Daniel. I agree. 35 farm, $5. In the old days, the UAP ships would be more metallic, like the modern Pleiadian ships are plasma and can morph into an imitation of an old-fashioned ship. Yeah, can we bring back flying saucers, please? You know, plasma's cool and all, but I wouldn't mind seeing a few more saucers, maybe even giant cigars, you know, things like that. They're just a bit more exciting, aren't they? Toxic Fart with $10. Nice to see you here, sir. It's been a while. What a coincidence that the three objects are all the same shape. Balloons are lighter than air and the missile would displace the air. Balloon would be caught up in the backwash. Thank you very much, sir, and I tend to agree. Achy Balls, $10. They called balloon in the Roswell incident, 1947. Not again. Yeah, exactly. I mean, when it comes, to be fair, like, this is Chris. He is a content creator who believes in UAP. So, that's why I found it interesting. If this was some random congressman saying it was a balloon, I probably wouldn't show it unless I was just trying to laugh at him. But I found it interesting because he is, pro-disclosure and pro-UFO and has a background as a pilot. So I thought it was an interesting take. Daniel Ortega, so we just wasting Hellfires on balloons? That too. Apparently these missiles are very expensive. I can't remember, but like in the millions per missile or something like that. I don't know. It is a weird idea. You could probably throw a sharp rock at it and pop it if it's actually a balloon. Rambro gifting a membership. My man Rambro, thank you very much. Noah Anderson, how fast is that balloon going? Well, that's the thing. It might be parallax. Like Chris said, if the drone is moving but it's locked onto a target, the movement you actually see is caused by the drone moving. And I know that might be hard to compute, but when you understand how like a locking system works, that's what parallax does. So it's really hard to say how fast it's moving because we don't actually know. And can I just say, this is part of my frustration with these shitty, vague thermal imaging videos because they never come with enough context. Half the screen is blocked out so you can't see like the data and all this kind of shit. You never see before, you never see after. Everything else needs to be said in a skiff. Like the limitation around the context and information propagates all of these wild theories and conspiracies about it being fake, about it being a balloon. Like, if you don't give us details, expect everyone to start coming out with wild theories that could all be so far from the truth. But what do you expect when you put this in the public with basically zero context? You're creating this, and maybe that's by design. Let's just remember that. And also, let's just remember that when I did a video talking about how it's been nearly 10 years since the first Tic Tac video came out, and we're still getting fed weird, vague, indistinct black and white thermal videos as if it's something new and exciting. When I did a video on that, I asked ChatGPT, if you were the CIA and you were behind all of this stuff, how would you manage the public perception knowing that people are cluing on to what's going on? And literally the first thing it said was, I would continue releasing vague videos that don't give away too much information, but keep dangling the carrot. Here we are. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Jared celebrating 4 months as a weirdo. Imagine a craft so sentient it ejected the 3 occupants at the moment of impact to avoid injury, then reabsorbs them after it reconstitutes itself. Ooh, I like that one, Jared. I like the way you think, my man. Thank you very much. Michael Frost, $8. Loved your work, Josh. Keep up the good work from a fellow Aussie. Shout out to you, Michael, and all the Aussies in the chat. 420 Breezy says, say it's a UFO. Why are we shooting missiles at it? That's a great question, right? That is a great question. And Lou Elizondo recently weighed in on this stuff and basically said, we got a real big problem here. We got a real big problem. Our best missiles are useless. That's a terrible Lou Elizondo accent, but he's basically saying the big problem is our Hellfire missiles are useless. Lou, I would argue the big problem is we're shooting missiles at something that we apparently don't know what it is. That's a weird way to go about business, bro. Weird way to go about business. What's that? I don't know. Shoot a $2 million missile at it and find out. Yeah, I don't know if that's a good approach to evolving and moving out into the cosmos where there might be an abundance of life that is far more intelligent and technologically advanced than us. Probably not the best way to go about things. Probably the military, whose job it is to be paranoid, maybe you're not the best ambassador to represent humanity out in space. considering you think everyone is your enemy because that's your job. So maybe get someone who is a bit more diplomatic, a bit more willing to ask a few more questions before shooting $1 million missiles at things. I don't know, just an idea. 35 Farm. Where did you go? The ship is attacked, deflects the attack, and immediately spits out the Sphere Network Triad defense posture, which means ready to attack back. Interesting. I haven't done I haven't finished Patrick Jackson's episode on Area 52 yet, but I did find it really interesting. I think, and I think he's a really intelligent guy. I think that's kind of clear. Probably a little bit autistic too. You can just kind of tell. And relax. This isn't. I'm not knocking him. I'm probably autistic too. Most of you in the chat probably are as well. That's why you're here. But you can kind of just tell, right? Especially when Chris was kind of like cracking jokes with him, and you could kind of tell like he wasn't really like getting the joke. It's just classic autism, right? And also coupled with the fact that he is like got higher pattern recognition. That's how he's developed this sphere network theory, and also just like a really intelligent dude. I find his theory super interesting. However, I feel like with a lot of people, they sometimes kind of get caught up on their own theories, and they sort of start to then see their own patterns in things where there may not necessarily be. So there's maybe a few moments where it's like, you could be reaching a little bit there, and I feel like it can make people sort of question the credibility a little bit. Not the credibility, but just the whole theory. But I don't think that should let people just wipe the slate of his entire work, right? Because I do actually think he's onto something. He's definitely onto something, because if you go back to the first video that I uploaded on this channel, it's called like VFX artist, analyzes a UFO or something like that. Really interesting UFO sighting that I found. And there is just 3 lights in that formation, okay? And I'm pretty sure I said in that video that, especially around the New Jersey drone era, this triangular shape of orbs is seen everywhere. They're always in this formation. So I think Patrick Jackson is absolutely onto something. Whether that's what we see in this new Hellfire video, I don't know. But it is certainly interesting. Paris, $5. Does it scare you to see this? They said yes, it's planned to create fear. Does that drone video scare me, or whatever we want to call it? Hellfire video? No, it doesn't scare me. Not at all. If anything scares me, if we actually don't know what it is and we're just shooting missiles at it, that's kind of scary, I think. But other than that, no, it doesn't scare me. Achy Balls, $20. Headline, Pentagon baboons shoot at UFO balloons. Yeah, pretty much, dude. Ape humans start throwing nukes and missiles at things again. Yep. Joshua with $20. Happy birthday, Josh. Thank you very much, Joshua. It's not my birthday. It is our 50K celebration, but I'll take it. It is Polarity's first birthday on the 1st of November, though, and we will be celebrating. But today, it's 50,000, and oh my God, I forgot to put the decorations up. There we go. The decorations are up. Thank you for the reminder, sir. Slap a like on the video for 50K, guys. Ashton Forbes, my man. Nice to see you here, sir. He says, keep up the good content, brother. Thank you very much, bro. And shout out to you as well. It was only a couple of days ago. I was speaking glowingly about you and your work. I think you do a great job, mate. So keep it up. And I commend you for powering through with your efforts, despite the absolute onslaught of shit that you get for it. I tip my hat to you, bro. I don't know how you do it. Or I've tweeted about MH370 a few times, and the absolute onslaught of bots that appear from nowhere is absolutely crazy, bro. So I can't imagine how you do it. But keep on trucking, dude, because I think you're doing good work. Larissa Kellstrom celebrating 1 month. I've been watching longer, but I really appreciate your content. Thank you very much, Larissa. And she's gifted 5 memberships. Absolute legend, Larissa. Thank you for the support. And guys, if you received one of those, make sure you say thank you to Larissa. All right, let's keep moving. What do we got here? So we got Anna Paulina Luna weighing in on what she thought about the hearing. This is another 3-minute clip, again, from Red Panda, who I basically just scraped everything from for this show. So shout out to Red. He is the Lord of the Clips on X.
Aside from that story, what did we learn today, Congresswoman?
I'm going to go grab my drink bottle. 1 sec.
Well, first of all, there needs to be definitely stronger legislation to protect whistleblowers. As you heard, every single one of these people have had either stories, or we have actually stated in our opening statement that we've heard from multiple military personnel that they simply are given the protections that are needed by Congress. But more importantly, as you saw in some of the footage that Representative Burleson released, we have questions. Why is Congress being denied access to this information? We have one of the biggest, most bipartisan bicameral missions here to uncover and discuss this topic. Recently, over 37 government employees, officials, former military, even members of the intelligence community have come forward. And remember, our own Secretary of State was actually stated saying that these people are at high levels of government and are credible in regards to their testimony that they're bringing forward. So look, I'm not speculating. I'm just going off of what the witnesses are saying, but the evidence speaks for itself.
I mean, he just described like this huge triangular object the size of a football field. I mean, this is a military police officer, very well spoken.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like he's got some kind of agenda. We've heard about so many that I remember the one that was on 60 Minutes, the orb that came out of the ocean that stopped in midair and went forward. What do you think is going on here? What's in your mind?
Definitely, I'm trying to get to the bottom of that. You know, what's been interesting today, Rob, is that we also had people, George Knapp, that brought forward previously.
Yep.
A little bit of the U.S. population knew about it. Maybe 1% of these documents were from a Russia, apparently UAP investigative program that they had set up prior to the fall of the Soviet Union that were smuggled out of Russia. So those documents have also been made public. But, you know, my whole objective here is, A, how do we know that it's not false information? Obviously, we think that it's valid based on what the witnesses have provided, and then also previous reports, I think, that came from the DIA. And so, look, we have a big job ahead of us, but my goal and objective, you know, we're trying to provide transparency for the American people. They have these questions, and we're going to help them get answers.
You got 10 seconds. I just want to show, guys, call for 4, the orb from Yemen. If we can put that up really quick just to show it. This is from Burleson right there. This is the, I believe, the video from Yemen. The importance of this in 10 seconds, if you could.
Look, I don't know anything that exists in our arsenal that can split a Hellfire missile like this. And frankly, the witnesses and many members of Congress also believe that, too.
That was 10 seconds. Congresswoman, thanks so much. We appreciate you coming on. I love this stuff. I'm endlessly fascinated by what the hell is out there, so I love it. Thank you. Good to see you.
Sounds like Newsboy wants to know what the hell is going on. Well, Newsboy, come and check out Polarity, and we'll find out. You know, just watching this back this time, let me play it again, turning it down. If we consider what we just learned from Chris, the fact that this movement here may be parallax, right? So again, if this is being filmed from a drone that is moving, that is locked onto this target here, it may mean that this target is actually barely moving, okay? And the movement is from the drone being locked onto something, and the drone is moving, right? If we consider that, try and imagine that you can't see the ocean, or that the ocean is still, and then watch how this thing moves again. So imagine this thing is just still. Don't worry about the background. Don't worry about the background. It's coming. You know, I think I can kind of see it now. When we consider that, if we picture the background isn't moving and this gets hit by something, it does kind of look like it's just flailing downward out of the sky. I'm not saying I think it's a balloon, but I can see it. I can see what Chris is saying. I'm not going to say that I think it's a balloon, though, purely because if this is a balloon, disclosure is over. If Eric Burleson and David Grush are bringing Hellfire's shooting balloons into Congress, it's over, bro. I'm sorry to say, you know, again, I'm not saying that's what I think it is, but I can at least see what Chris is saying now. I'm still on the fence. We'll find out. Now, actually, we've got another clip here. Shout out to Red Panda one more time. This is Dark Journalist, okay? Now, I've known about Dark Journalist for a while. I've never covered him on the channel, purely because I don't really watch him much. He generally seems to have quite a negative take on things, which isn't why I don't watch him. I mean, there's a lot of people I don't watch purely because it's just hard to consume everyone's content, right? But he generally is quite pessimistic about the whole disclosure movement. And, you know, I get it. I mean, you guys know me. I have my moments too where I'm just like, this is all bullshit, okay? I think we all do, right? When you're in this space long enough, after a while, it's very easy to get pretty burnt out, or, you know, just over what feels like a bit of a circus, because the whole congressional government side of things does feel like a circus. So this is a 5-minute clip of basically Dark Journalist giving his take. I'll read the caption quickly. After the flailing and superficial congressional lunar hearings on UAP, let's go to the real reason for the massive secrecy around the real UFO file. Protect the group that is run through CIA and aerospace defense contractors to hide the Apotheum breakaway tech. Go deeper. And the reason why I think this is interesting is because, like I said, I've got a video coming out in a few days. I'm excited for it because I feel like it's a bit of a classic Polarity cook-up. We're connecting dots. We're talking about what we heard from Dylan Borland and where I think this could connect to a massive, bigger picture here that does relate to the breakaway, which, you know, that stuff, that's where I think answers lie. I mean, Greer's been saying it, transnational organization, breakaway civilization. This is what I think we're dealing with personally.
Something we've identified, and it's a group inside the Central Intelligence Agency that works around exotic technology. So there's a wing in there that deals specifically with that. This goes all the way back to a physicist in the 1950s named Robert Sarbarker, sort of accidentally spoke to an interviewer and was saying, oh yeah, the major subject that we keep at a higher level than nuclear secrecy is UFO secrecy. So the technology that was involved with UFOs, and there's a number of things to track there, whether you're talking about if you think it's an off-world visitation or if it's just very advanced technology that we developed through the Nazi period and others where we just usurped the technology and applied it, however you want to look at it. And I'm inclined to think it's some combination of all of the above. But it became the top national security secret for a reason, which is there's a capacity to it that gives a country kind of an unlimited power. And they didn't want to share that the same way they didn't want to share the nuclear secrecy in the beginning. So the UFO file becomes kind of core in the middle of this. The group that's set up to sort of punish those who reveal those secrets or destroy the reputations or ultimately assassinate them, this is the group Protect. It comes directly out of the intelligence wing, but it operates...
Where can I find this clip? I'll repost it right now. There you go. It'll be on my profile, bro.
It's between the aerospace companies who are public, not government, and the intelligence agencies who are part of the intelligence community and the apparatus therein. So they're able to operate in this kind of haze between the two. It's an unusual, kind of a dark corridor, you could say, between the two. So the X-Tech, the problem that they have with the X-Tech is there's a function of it that I refer to as Apotheum, which they call a reality distortion field. So when they get around these things, for example, when they had their scientists studying them, the scientists would go in there for 20 minutes and study some advanced craft that had been landed in Arizona or somewhere. And they thought, oh, we'll do a regular study of this. But within 20 minutes, they would start doing things like seeing relatives who had passed away.
What? Dude, that's crazy. But I mean, like, you know, it does kind of line up with a lot of the stuff that we hear. And, you know, like talking about Philip Corso's son in his interview, talking about this is time travel, this is time dilation, this is parallel realities and traversing dimensions. These are the things we heard about with, he obviously referenced the Nazis and the Germans when we hear about, Die Glocke, the conspiracy theory, which absolutely definitely isn't true. It's that machine was able to had some kind of like time dilation or time distortion to it. And, if what he's saying is true here, which we don't know, but if this implicates like time and dimensions and things like that, it would make sense why this stuff is so locked down. Because I'm not saying I think it should be, but I think like we would need to consider what would the implications be if technology to like traverse time and dimensions was just like public access. What world would we live in? What would happen to the place that we live? Like I just feel like it would be like a madhouse.
So the physics that are involved there have nothing to do with what we understand as physics. And it's funny because I spent a lot of time with Professor John Mack, who was a professor at Harvard, who gave up a lot of his own career in order to study UFOs. And at the time, he got he got hassled for it pretty heavily. This is the early 2000s, really. Mm-hmm. But what he said was...
John Mack, by the way, just another one of the many people on the list of like, was talking about / investigating the UFO phenomenon and the cover-up and hit by a bus or suspiciously died or suicided, you know what I mean? Like he's in that list of like died early, prematurely to what obviously probably wasn't a suspicious circumstance at the time, but when you look at all the people who were doing the same thing, everyone seems to have met some kind of untimely end.
When I'm watching these abduction cases, all these abduction cases, these people came to him, I was abducted by a UFO, that kind of thing. And he said, well, but they're going through things. They're going through walls, their car is being lifted, like these are defying physics. Well, if you go into, and the more that I researched the UFO file, those cases all involve a kind of alternative physics. Mm-hmm. And the whole thing about missing time and time stopping, so there's something operational there that if it becomes weaponized, becomes sort of the ultimate super weapon. So their excuse for hiding the technology from the public is the incredible advantage and saying, well, if somebody else gets their hands on that. So they're saying, this is our reasoning for it. By the time we get to something like a breakaway incident like the Kennedy assassination, that deep event, as I've proven, it's related to the aerospace technology, the exotic technology in the UFO file. That advanced technology and his willingness to share it made him a national security target. So those explanations and the trails and the layers of narrative storytelling about them are complete bunk. If you look into the case, from the minute go, aerospace is involved because the shots that come from the building, the person who owned the building owned an experimental aerospace company, and that's D.H. Byrd. So I hope that answers the question, but when you get into the breakaway part, they show up in history, they sort of cause this damage, and then they retreat back into the shadows, and we're left to think, oh, how did 9/11 happen, or how did the JFK assassination happen? There's a lot of things there that don't really add up when you're doing a regular investigation, and that gets us into dark journalism.
There we go. That's the dark journalist. He does actually make some good points, to be honest. Like I said, I don't really watch his stuff. I've only seen little bits, but I think dark journalist is probably one of the people that is actually more aligned with my takes on this thing, and that, I've told you guys flat out that I think a non-human intelligence essentially runs, I don't know if I would say the world, but it runs the West. And maybe not runs in a sense of like everything day to day, but like when it comes to the highest level of string pulling and like what gets disclosed and what doesn't and the way things work, I think it's a non-human intelligence. Obviously, I can't prove that, and I'm not even saying that you should believe me. I'm just giving you my opinion based on what seems, based on just what actually makes sense. And isn't that crazy that I feel that way? Isn't it crazy that I think that is the only answer that seems to make sense? And, you know, Reagan said it. Reagan literally said it when he said that, like, what could be, you know, he said it without saying it. He said, what could be more inhumane than constant war with each other? And wouldn't it be like, what would unite us more than realizing there is an external threat here? And then that was followed by, like, what could be more inhumane than war? To me, he is literally saying that, like, you don't realize that, like, these wars are not orchestrated by us. We're almost just like pawns in a far bigger game. That's how it feels. That is how it feels. And, you know, that can only happen by people not being awake to what's actually going on. But if someone, you know, if there was some kind of collective elevation of consciousness where people actually just like snapped out of it and was like, you know what, bro? Actually, I'm not going to go to another country and start killing people because 70-year-old man up in a tower told me to. Hey, 70-year-old man up in a tower, why don't you go, dude? If you've got a problem, why don't you go? I think if leaders of countries have problems with each other, put on some MMA gloves, go in the ring, and sort it out. You don't even have to kill each other. Just sort it out. Work out what your differences are, beat each other up, and you'll probably find that after you do that, you both feel a little bit better. You can shake hands and be like, okay, fair play. Yep, you can take that bit of land. And we can all get on with it, and we can stop killing millions of innocent people who actually don't give a fuck about what you want. Old code for UFO, Santa Claus, new code balloon. Yep, or Chinese lantern, Venus, swamp gas, there are plenty. Droner with $5. I watch all your videos, but this is the first time I've caught you live. Big fan of the channel. Shout out to you, bro. Thank you very much and appreciate you being here. James, can we give the pup some treats? Look, the puppy feeding is a $10 minimum, and that's purely a health reason. However, we have a whole bunch of small ones here, so I'll add them all up and we will feed the pup when we're done, and we'll get on to the next video after I finish these. Noah, $2. With the ease that story was reported. Epic Mindset, $8. Love your content, Josh. Every question leads to more questions, like who created the creator of this reality and who created that creator and so on. Yep. It's almost like we weren't meant to figure it out. It really does feel like that sometimes. And that probably is true at some level. And, you know, it makes me wonder. Actually, I think Chris Ramsey made a really good point in a recent, I think it was maybe Chris being interviewed on Third Eye Drops fairly recently. And he said something that really resonated with me. And he said how, like, when people have near-death experiences, they always kind of report that, you know, not only are they just overwhelmed with, like, this beautiful, loving feeling, but they also get this sense of, like, they've returned home, they remember a whole bunch of things, and they remember that, like, this experience they're having on Earth is temporary and the soul is far more eternal. Which actually relates to what we heard yesterday from Itzhak Bentov, basically saying your soul is on an evolutionary process. It's your soul that is evolving, and your body is just playing host to your soul right now. And when this body is done, it will find a new one, and it will continue, right? Like, that makes sense. So Chris's point was, you know, what's the point of spending your entire life trying to figure all these things out, which are so mind-bending and feel so beyond our perception, if when we die, we sort of go to this dimension or this realm where all the answers we're looking for just come flooding back to us anyway. You know, where we come from, who we are, what our purpose is. You will remember all of that. So if that is true, do you want to have that experience and be like, oh, that's right, and then be like, oh my God, I just spent my whole life trying to figure this shit out and I never really got there. but now that I'm dead, I remember it all anyway. Do you know what I mean? When he said that, I was like, damn, am I just wasting my time here? Are we all just wasting our time? You know, we want to know now. I know, Kat, that's exactly right. We're all impatient. We all want everything right now, this second. I get it. And, you know, I don't want all the answers. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even in this for answers. I'm in this because I feel like us humans, regular humans, are in an injustice. We are being like treated poorly, and truth is being kept away from us. And that's important to a degree. I think we should understand the true nature of our existence and reality. At least if other people know it, then so should we. But what I also think is important is like the energy situation. Okay, I think that's a big one. There's so many people living in poverty, and it just feels like that is not necessary. And not even people living in poverty. Like, it just seems like there is the ability for us to have cheaper, more accessible energy, potentially free. Yet, not only that, we're building these dumbass massive windmills to make energy freer, but at the same time, my energy bill is going up. So what are you building the windmills for? Because it's not having the right effect. My electricity bill is getting higher. So shut the windmills down and give us the free energy, please. Sorry, I had to throw in a little Ross Coulthard breath there. It's been a while. Noah Anderson, remember the movie Eagle Eye with Shia LaBeouf? No, Noah, I don't. Sorry, I've not watched many movies, unfortunately. Abraxas Cypher, $5. If it is time travel related, what does it say that so many high-level gov and tech people are becoming Christians? Also, congrats, brother. That's a good point. It's the whole Christian movement right now in Silicon Valley is weird. Because, especially with Peter Thiel, right? I mean, it just feels weird. It feels like they could be, I'm not saying they are, but it feels like they could be trying to hijack or weaponize faith to bring in the solutions and technology and systems that they want to. I could be wrong, but it does feel like that. But I also will say that if you go back and watch an older video of mine, I actually reposted a clip from it yesterday on X. It's the thumbnail is something like "We become them through technology," and it's basically like an hour-long video I did following a whole bunch of different clips and work from Diana Pasulka. And that video kind of concludes in the idea that the people at the cutting edge of AI and in Silicon Valley see AI as literally like the second coming of Christ. And I don't mean that as a parallel. I mean that as like that they think that this AI is like the savior of humanity, that like AI is our only way forward, and that basically it's going to save us. These are the people who are, you know, like the Peter Thiels of the world, essentially. Like, that is the way they see this stuff. And that Tim Taylor allegedly told Diana Pasulka that we, as in us, humans, will become them through technology. So to me, that says, like, if we are to merge with AI on some level, we are essentially ascending and going to the next stage of human, alien. I don't even know. But, and you know, when you pose it like that, it can almost sound a little bit exciting in a way. But like, you know, that's so nuanced. What does that mean? How do we merge with them? Are you going to put a chip in my brain? Does that mean you can control my thoughts? You can monitor my thoughts? Like, you know, that's such a wild road to go down that I don't know, man. But that is how the people in Silicon Valley see AI, as it is the savior of humanity. And I believe Diana Pasulka's next book is about that. It is about the merge of humans with AI, metahumans, transhumanism. I think it'll be a really interesting book. Bleak with $2, real life Tekken tournament. Yes, the world leaders should absolutely have a real life Tekken tournament, 100%. John Anthony with $50. That is quite a super chat, sir. Thank you very much. Josh Hardy, congratulations on the 50K and for fostering your family of weirdos. My awareness increases and my veil diminishes with all your critical insights. Cheers. Thanks, man. That's a really kind comment. I appreciate that a lot. The support means a lot to me, especially from you. You're always in here supporting. I appreciate that. So let's, what have we got next here? Okay, this next one is a weird one, is a very weird one. So this is one that, like I said, I'm going to have to scroll through quite a bit here. What do we got? This one is what I covered in the very first episode of Weird Week. It's not exactly the same thing, but it looks eerily similar. Okay, now someone in the community tagged me in this. I apologize. I can't remember exactly who it was, but someone tagged me in this, okay? Any OGs of the channel here remember the very first episode I did of Weird Week, and I covered this thing called black goo, and it kind of reminds me of like Venom, right? Like the stuff that like Venom is covered in, like this weird sentient black gooey life suit that's like a parasite, okay? I showed some videos back then, so that was November week 3, very first Weird Week I ever did, and this stuff here looks really similar. So this is the post. I've been following this news since yesterday. Now even Alien Carvings has made a post about it. It really reminds me of the early days of the Boogosphere. Most people thought it was a hoax, and then all kinds of things happened. And they basically posted a link to all these videos. We'll watch this little 5-minute recap of what's going on here, and then maybe we'll watch a couple. But basically, there is a guy in Panama who found this little meteorite thing, and this black goo stuff started growing out of it, and it's like sentient and just kind of it's intelligent and alive. So we're gonna watch that. Just quickly, Dario with $5. I received a death threat from an AI for a few months when I was working on a model AI concept. If they are doing that, they aren't up to any good. That is concerning, Daria. I would I don't know. Make sure you've got a VPN or something. Be careful about that. Thank you for the $5. All right, let's check this out. Hopefully this shows up okay for you guys.
Early September, a meteor crashed in Panama. This TikToker, Kin Panama, documented this. First off, I want to say thanks to Kin for giving us the opportunity to see this firsthand and documenting it so clearly. You know, this man has a well-standing profile. He posts about normal things for years, and all of a sudden starts posting this footage. I don't have any reason to believe it's AI. What started to grow off of this meteor had life reactions to it, or has life reactions to it. It moves. It's not feeding off anything. It's not getting air. He's kept it in the dark for the most part. He has put it out in the sun. It doesn't seem to affect it. The crash site here is what's really got my attention. It glows phosphorescently or luminescently rather around the site, which is interesting because we find all this luminescent and phosphorescent stuff out of Mexico, and you know it's not something that's common in our world, so it's very interesting to see it in this fashion with no blacklight stimulation whatsoever. I would be curious to see what a blacklight would do to this area for sure. So as he continued, you know, every day posting the progress of what this thing's doing, he's posted, you know, dozens of videos. I think there's close to 20 videos of this. I'm posting some here to bring awareness to this, to try to get people to go to TikTok and follow this man.
This thing is so like gross looking and kind of creepy. The fact that he's just touching it with his fingers, bro, don't do that. I hate things. I mean, I think this is an ADHD thing, but I hate anything on my fingers. Even if I've just eaten and I can smell food on my fingers, I have to wash them. If I'm cooking and I just touch an ingredient and I have a little bit of it on my fingers, I have to wash them before I can continue. There's no way in hell I would be touching this thing.
To keep up with this, You know, a lot of people reached out to him and asked for, you know, biological samples so they could put it into the lab and see what the heck we're dealing with. You know, the curiosity is very high on this.
People are saying, is this real? In my opinion, I can't see any reason why it's not. It definitely does not come across as AI to me. There's too many videos from different perspectives. There's too many videos from different perspectives. And, you know, it's definitely not CG either. Like, my own opinion is these videos are real. What it is in the videos, I don't know. But my opinion, as previously a visual effects artist, I do think these videos are real.
However, I feel that the danger is also very high if that's the case. He thought it was a plant to begin with. And here we are, you know, as it continues to grow and he continues to post it, they're starting to call it venom. It looks like a black something. You know,
look at it. This is what it's grown into now.
You know, black goo of some form, but it's got definite life form. It moves and...
look at it, guys. It's literally moving.
And, you know, it was just staying on the meteor and you know, flexing its little tentacles and things of that nature for many days. He started to take samples for scientists. He had the bravery to go in and start cutting these things and creating these samples in these jars, which seem to still have life form. They could be like clones. They may regrow or regenerate. The fact that it's not eating and provides such a life form is very interesting. You know, when the meteor came out, before anything was growing off of it, he had a plant on his desk, and it literally killed the leaf that it touched, and or that it was close to. And so he did multiple other tests and showed us that this thing just literally will eat the biological material and burn it up. So as you can see, this thing continues to grow, and this is after he's taken samples off of it. Quite bizarre. I really am speechless. However, doing the work that I do, I know there's a lot of disclosure issues. You can see it with our congressional hearings. You can see it with the Nazca mummies finally making it to certain mainstream profiles like Jesse Michaels and Joe Rogan. People are starting to take the Nazca mummies more seriously. I don't know how to even take this. The fact he's touching this with his hand here.
Bro, get a pair of tongs. Put some gloves on. Get tweezers. Guys just raw dogging the venom alien.
It creeps me out, to be honest. I mean, this needs to be in a very secure area. This could be an invasive species. You know, scientists have predicted that certain octopus and life forms on Earth, they just showed up here one day. They feel that they may have came by meteor or asteroid, which in this...
I don't know if you guys saw it Twitch there. It's dislodged the lid. He explains this after, but it's dislodged the lid. It's now half off, so it's moved itself, and it's got its little freaking hands spread out. It kind of looks like it's obviously not an octopus, but it does sort of look like one.
In this case, I mean, it's
Look, it's moving.
You can see the thing has separated itself from the meteor. It is now a functional life form. Still seems to be gripping onto it, but has detached itself also. So I don't know if the ambient radiation, gamma rays, electromagnetic frequencies, whatever this thing's producing that killed the plants, could be feeding the life form here. I'll be anxious to see what the scientists come up with that he's shipping it to. I pray for all of their safety. I pray for our safety on this, as it could be an invasive species that we are unaware of, and he may have just cloned it dozens of times and sent it all over the world, making it, you know, potentially something.
Yeah, cheers, bro. Thanks for cloning it and sending it all over the world.
That could cause us a threat. Seeing how fast it grows, the fact it got off of the tray in the safe, closed in there, moved the glass lid off of there, and moving the meteor around. It's obviously got some strength already, which is insane to me. So I highly recommend that you go follow this account, Kin Panama, and tell him thank you for at least giving us the opportunity to try to understand this.
And thank you for sending samples of it all around the world. Yeah, that's a good one too. Rob Stewart says octopus don't have a fossil record. Wild, something to think about. I mean, that is interesting. I mean, and I'm not arguing with you, but like because they're in the ocean, like, do we find fossils in the ocean? Are there fossils in the ocean? That could be like a super brain dead take from me, but I actually don't know. Like, do we find fossils of other marine life?
I feel it's a huge warning to us all, considering we've been seeing the things that we've been seeing with drones and UAPs or whatever.
Yeah, we do. We do. Okay, sweet. I'll go fuck myself. No problem. No, but no, that is interesting. I mean, I've always said, and I'm not alone in this, if any animal looks like it's an alien, it's an octopus. Not even how they look, but the fact that they can just camouflage and look like anything around them is like, okay, what are you? It's like, that's not normal. Also, they're hyper intelligent. So, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that an octopus is something pretty special and unique. And there's that movie on Netflix of people, of that guy that like forms a bond with an octopus.
You want to call these flying orbs and different things over the White House, over assassination attempts, all over the place. China, Russia, Bolivia, Colombia. I see it everywhere.
It's climbing. It's trying to climb out of the safe.
Mexico for sure. You know, and obviously we see depictions of a lot of this stuff on the pieces from Mexico. Not this specifically, though. This one here definitely takes the cake, and I'll keep up on it as well because there's not really any Instagram coverage of it. And we'll go from there. Say a prayer for this man and for us as a society because this thing looks like the real deal. Until next time.
It's on your chair, Josh. Don't say that, bro. Don't say that. Okay. So that was somebody doing kind of like a recap of this guy's account, showing a whole bunch of his videos. I'll just show you one of the actual guy's videos, just so you can see and kind of hear the dude himself.
Para lo que me han escrito.
So this is a guy from Panama.
Me han escrito que quieren comprármelo, no está a la venta. Estoy esperando a las personas correspondientes para que le hagan su estudio. Estoy tratando de buscar los contactos o los contactos que me localicen. Hoy voy a llevármelo. No voy a estar en la casa. Voy a viajar voy a hacer una visita. O sea que me tengo que ir de mi casa y pienso llevármelo. Y espero que llegue bien.
Stop flapping your little tentacles like that. It's so gross.
Me lo llevo en una cajeta.
So there you go. You know, and I was actually wondering, I don't know if maybe some of you may be feeling a little bit trolled by the caption because what was in what did I call it? I said like alien life found on a comet. I feel like a lot of people probably thought I had jumped ships with 3i Atlas there because you guys know that I'm pretty like, I'm not anti 3i Atlas. I'm just anti, like, I'm not into the whole, I guess I'm not that interested in it yet. Like I want to see something that, I just want to wait until we actually see. I mean, I feel like everyone's just getting way too ahead of themselves with the whole thing. And I just don't think it's really helpful. And I'm staying on the fence about it. But I was wondering if maybe some people thought my caption was that I'd jumped ships and I was on the whole, it's a hostile alien comet. Wrong. I gotcha. It is a little rock meteorite that's landed in Peru that seems to be giving birth to the most disgusting thing that I've ever seen in my life. So that is frightening. Hopefully it's nothing. Hopefully there's an explanation for it, or we've just got the little parasite from Alien here, which is kind of scary. Paris Diamonds, $2. Spider egg sack food bag. And Rachel Rivera, $5. In the show Resident Alien, the guy who is an alien explains about how octopus are related to alien. Very interesting. Resident Alien, what is that? In the show Resident Alien, have I seen that? I think I'm maybe thinking of Investigation Alien that George Knapp did. There's a high chance I haven't seen it because I haven't seen most things. All right, what else we got? Let's move on to the next topic. We've got, okay, yeah, cool. We're on time. We're going to go to Sam Altman, Tucker Carlson here. And we've actually had a few super chats, so let's feed the girl. She's been waiting patiently. So guys, just a reminder, after this show, we've got a few more topics to look into. Then we've got the after party, okay? That's where the real fun begins. Everyone loves an after party, but the after party is over on Twitch. So there is a link for my Twitch in the description. I'm just trying to break up these snacks because they're super crunchy. And we'll be hanging out over there, just having a good time. So I'll give you guys more notice before we head over there. But I think to chat, you may need to make an account, but it's all free. You don't have to subscribe or anything like that. Suki? If your dogs are watching at home, make sure they feel included. Make sure you get snacks out for your own dogs or cats or turtles or birds or whatever. Suki? I would love to have a pet bird, but I just don't want to deal with cleaning the cage. If someone else could do that, I would love to do a show with my bird on my shoulder. That would be sick. Here you go. Here's more. All right, let's keep moving. Sam Altman. This was an interesting one, okay? This is a 7-minute clip. I don't know if we'll watch the whole thing, but things got a little bit dicey in Sam Altman's interview with Tucker Carlson.
So you had complaints from one programmer who said you guys were basically stealing people's stuff and not paying them, and then he wound up murdered. What was that?
Also a great tragedy. He committed suicide.
Do you think he committed suicide?
I really do.
Have you looked?
This was like a friend of mine. This is like a guy that, and not a close friend, but this is someone that worked at OpenAI for a very long time. I was really shaken by this tragedy. I spent a lot of time trying to, read everything I could, as I'm sure you and others did too, about what happened.
Now, look, I know we've got a lot of intuitive people in the chat. I know we've got a lot of people who may even have some extrasensory abilities in the chat. Maybe they don't even realize. But I'm curious. I want to know how you guys feel when you listen to Sam Altman here. What do you think about Sam Altman and what he's saying? You think he's telling the truth? You think he's being honest?
It looks like a suicide to me.
Why does it look like a suicide?
It was a gun he had purchased. It was this is like...
Sorry. I just had a guy speaking in Spanish from that Panama video going off in my headphones. My apologies.
To talk about, but I read the whole
That's right.
medical record. Does it not look like one to you?
No, he was definitely murdered, I think. There were signs of a struggle, of course. The surveillance camera, the wires had been cut. He had just ordered takeout food, come back from a vacation with his friends on Catalina Island. No indication at all that he was suicidal. No note and no behavior. He had just spoken to a family member on the phone. And then he's found dead with blood in multiple rooms. So that's impossible. Seems really obvious he was murdered. Have you talked to the authorities about it?
I know a lot of people don't like Tucker Carlson and whatever. I feel like that's usually because of, political agenda, which, is fake and gay. But I find him hilarious in the way he delivers the things that he says. He almost kind of reminds me a little bit in a way of the American Louis Theroux. And that Louis Theroux has a brilliant way of using his British mannerisms and politeness and kind of quirky personality to ask difficult questions and also continue to probe in a very sort of polite way that he's asking really confronting questions, but manages to not be abrasive and too confrontational when he says it. I think Tucker Carlson does the same thing in his own way. And he also makes me laugh with the way that he does it.
I've not talked to the authorities about it.
And his mother claims he was murdered on your orders.
Do you believe that?
I'm asking.
I mean, you just said it, so do you believe that?
I think that it is worth looking into, and I mean, if a guy comes out and accuses your company of committing crimes, I have no idea if that's true or not, of course, and then is found killed and there are signs of a struggle, I don't think it's worth dismissing it. I don't think we should say, well, he killed himself when there's no evidence that the guy was depressed at all. I think, and if he was your friend, I would think you would want to speak to his mom or...
I did offer, she didn't want to.
So...
It is weird how many people, I mean, not just in the UFO space, which we spoke about earlier, you know, there are countless there, but even when it comes to, you know, big tech companies, government, politicians, big companies in general, it's interesting how many people seem to commit suicide, right? And it's always people who, you know, usually never really have shown signs prior to that. And it always seems to be within a year or within a couple of years of maybe like a deal going wrong, you know, a conflict of interest in major contracts and things like that. I mean, it's just kind of obvious.
So, do you feel that, you know, when people look at that and they're like, you know, it's possible that happened, do you feel that that reflects the worries they have about what's happening here? Like, people are afraid that this is like...
I haven't done too many interviews where I've been accused of like...
Oh, I'm not accusing you at all. I'm just saying his mother says that. I don't think a fair read of the evidence suggests suicide at all. I just don't see that at all. And I also don't understand why the authorities, when there's signs of a struggle and blood in 2 rooms on a suicide, like, how does that actually happen? I don't understand how the authorities could just kind of dismiss that as a suicide.
And yeah, I mean, his points make total sense, right? And I find it interesting how defensive Sam Altman is being. And it could go, but again, like, this is something that I also feel like individual personality comes into the equation, because some people are just like defensive kind of people, I guess. You know, we can only, like, I can only analyze this based on myself and how I feel like I would react. And if I knew that my friend committed suicide, or at the very least, I knew that I had nothing to do with it, I certainly wouldn't be getting defensive about it. I would be trying to see and understand why Tucker feels that way. And I mean, he's not making like outrageous points. He's actually making points that are like, yeah, makes total sense why you feel that way. I would be trying to get on their level and understand them and try to explain my position and help them see better from my perspective. Getting defensive, in my opinion, is a sign of, you know, rather than trying to help someone see the truth that you know, like, if you know the truth, you should want to help the other person see that and get on their level and have a discussion. Being defensive to me is like you don't want to have that discussion because there's something there that you don't want to say, that you don't want to have to bring out.
I think it's weird.
You understand how this sounds like an accusation?
Of course. And I mean, I certainly, let me just be clear once again, not accusing you of any wrongdoing, but I think it's worth finding out what happened. And I don't understand why the city of San Francisco has refused to investigate it beyond just calling it a suicide.
I mean, I think they looked into it a couple of times, more than once, as I understand it. I saw the, and I will totally say, when I first heard about this, it sounded very suspicious to me.
Yes.
And I know you had been involved in.
Well, his mother
you were
reached
asked to look
out
into
to
the
me.
case.
And I don't know anything about it. It's not my world.
She just reached out cold?
She reached out cold.
Wow.
And I spoke to her at great length, and it scared the crap out of me. The kid was clearly killed by somebody. That was my conclusion, objectively, with no skin in the game.
David Dash says, not necessarily. You can be defensive if someone is bad faith accusing you of something you didn't do, though I'm not saying that's the case here. Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. I can definitely see that. And again, I think that comes down to like individual person and individual temperament, right? Like someone who is maybe like a calmer person with good emotional intelligence and you know, just a grounded person would probably be able to be accused in bad faith and still remain calm and have a discussion. Someone who is maybe not so grounded and knows that they're right and then gets accused in bad faith could pop off 100%. Again, and that's why this is complicated, because everyone is so different.
You, after reading the latest report?
Yes.
Like, look,
and I immediately called a member of Congress from California, Ro Khanna, and said, this is crazy. You've got to look into this. And nothing ever happened. And I'm like, what is that?
Again, I think this is, I feel strange and sad debating this and having to
I'm not
myself
even
seem
debating
totally
it, I'm
crazy.
just
And you are a
asking.
little bit accusing me, but
Do you guys think Tucker is actually accusing him, though? Because, I mean, he's not really accusing him. He's really just kind of saying the evidence doesn't really suggest a suicide. It doesn't look like that at all. I don't know. Yeah, he's sort of insinuating it a little bit, but not. I don't think he's necessarily accusing Sam directly. Like Sam Altman seems to be taking this as in like personal, you're accusing me. Whereas I think Tucker is just saying it seems like something else is going on here that does potentially relate to the company you're involved with, but not necessarily you directly. I don't know. Again, there could be more to this story that happened before camera, off camera, comments made. I don't know. But I don't know. I do think Sam Altman is getting quite defensive here, and I don't know. Paul Shield says, Josh, I disagree. You can be totally gaslighted into defensive posture. Yeah, I agree with you. Again, this is a nuanced situation for sure. But I think I don't think Tucker is speaking in a aggressive or confrontational way. I think he's being pretty diplomatic. However, I do feel like the pressure of being in an interview scenario with cameras on you and being put on the spot with these questions could absolutely push someone into feeling like they're being set up or attacked. So, I can see both sides here.
this was like a wonderful person and a family that is clearly struggling.
Yes.
And I think you can totally take the point that you're just trying to get to the truth of what happened, and I respect that. But I think his memory and his family deserve to be treated with a level of respect and grief that I don't quite feel here.
I'm asking at the behest of his family. So I'm definitely showing them respect. And I'm not accusing you of any involvement in this at all. What I am saying is that the evidence does not suggest suicide, and for the authorities in your city to elide past that and ignore the evidence that any reasonable person would say adds up to a murder, I think is very weird, and it shakes the faith that one has in our system's ability to respond to the facts.
So what I was going to say is, after the first set of information that came out, I was really like, man, this doesn't look like a suicide. I'm confused. This looks like...
Okay, so I'm not being crazy here at all.
But then after the second thing came out and the more detail, I was like, oh, okay.
What changed your mind?
The second report on the way the bullet entered him and the sort of person who had like followed the sort of likely path of things through the room.
Sam Altman doesn't even sound convinced of what he's saying there. He does not sound convinced at all. It sounds like he was just repeating what the story is. I don't know, maybe I'm reaching, but he does not even sound like he believes what he's saying there.
I assume you looked at this too.
Yes, I did.
And what about that didn't change your mind?
It just didn't make any sense to me. Why would the security camera wires be cut? And how did he wind up bleeding in 2 rooms after shooting himself? And why was there a wig in the room that wasn't his? And has there ever been a suicide where there was no indication at all that the person was suicidal who just ordered takeout food? I mean, who orders DoorDash and then shoots himself? I mean, maybe.
I didn't know that detail. That's crazy.
I've covered a lot of crimes as a police reporter. I've never heard of anything like that. So no, I was even more confused.
This is where it gets into, I think, a little bit painful, just not the level of respect I'd hope to show to someone with this kind of mental illness.
I totally get it. It's
people
just
do commit suicide without notes a lot. Like, that happens.
For sure.
People definitely order food they like before they commit suicide. Like, this is...
Do they, Sam Altman? Sam Altman just said people definitely do order food they like before they commit suicide. Do you have... Can you cite your sources on that, Sam Altman, please?
This is an incredible tragedy, and
That's his family's view, and they think it was a murder, and that's why I'm asking the question.
If I were his family, I am sure I would want answers, and I'm sure I would not be satisfied with really any... I mean, there's nothing that would comfort me in that.
People on death row. Okay, fair. Yeah, that is fair. That is fair. To get it from a DoorDasher, though, is interesting, but, you know, fair play.
You know?
Right.
Like, so I get it. I also care a lot about respect to him.
Right.
This is an incredible tragedy, and I...
Interesting, right? I gotta say, my gut feeling listening to that is that Sam Altman is not being honest. I don't know what that means. And I'm not saying Sam Altman is himself responsible, but the vibe and energy that that conversation gives off is that that guy is not being honest about something. And the questions and points that Tucker raised are like glaringly like obvious and do not add up and deserve answers. There's a whole documentary about this I should watch. Interesting. I'll have to check that one out. We've got one more clip before we head over to Twitch for the after party, guys. If you're enjoying it so far, slap a like on the stream for 50K. I thought this would be a relevant little wind up here because you know, Sam Altman obviously related to OpenAI, related to AI, related to robotics. And if you follow me on X, you would have seen that I posted this video the other day, or just yesterday actually. And this is a lady in America getting triggered by a robot. And I just think this is scary, okay? If people aren't developed enough to handle a robot, something that is not a real human being, fucking with them, we are in trouble, okay? Let's watch this.
Let me get your handshake.
Shut your bitch ass up!
Are you being disrespectful? Who's controlling this thing? Maybe I should kick it down.
She just said, maybe I should kick it down. And it's like she's trying to, you can just tell here, she's trying to play it cool, but she's pissed. She's pissed. And I got to be careful because it's playing Snoop Dogg, but I'll try and work around that.
Let's see how far you can go when I kick you. Give me a hand.
She said, let's see how far you go when I kick you. And she's like staunching on it. Like she's mad.
Who's controlling this thing? You can come here and pitch ass.
Who's controlling this thing? And now it flips her off. Like, dude, that lady wanted to fight a robot, okay? We are never going to get disclosure if people are trying to fight robots. This is as bad as the people who argue with each other on X. You can't argue with robots because they're literally robots. Like, humanity will end quickly if these Tesla robots start coming out en masse and they start trying to fuck with people and people start getting angry about it. Let's watch this one more time, because not only is the first part hilarious, but also the robot laugh.
Shut your bitch ass!
Like, what is that, by the way? Like, I mean, to be fair, that isn't an extremely aggressive robot, but it's hilarious. And the fact that it's wearing a cowboy hat, like, what the fuck is going on?
Are you being disrespectful?
And why do they all laugh like that? Like, I'm sure if you guys are on TikTok or whatever, you will have seen these robots, right? They always have that laugh. And that laugh is just so, like, kind of iconic now and funny. I don't know what it is or what it's from, but it is so funny.
Are you being disrespectful? Who's controlling this thing? Maybe I should kick it down.
Maybe I should kick it down. Oh, God.
Who's controlling this thing?
Sassy little robot. I love it. I love it. But don't let that shit trigger you, okay? We're going to go downhill quickly if that is the case. Matt O'Reilly's just gifted a membership. Matt, you legend. Thank you very much, sir. Guys, that's going to wrap up our stream. We're going to head over to Twitch for the after party, where it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Slap a like on the video if you haven't already. We'll give Suki one more treat. Also, check out the merch store. You can get yourself a touch grass hat. You can get yourself Polarity tool tees, hoodies, caps, tees, all of it. There are a few little issues with the store, but I'm working on it. Slowly but surely, we're going to get there. One more treat for the girl, and then we're going to head over to Twitch. So, guys, if you don't know what Twitch is a streaming service. You just go to twitch.tv. You can find the link for my Twitch channel in the description below. If any of the mods could link it for me right now, though, in the chat, that would be amazing. Good girl, Suki. It should just be twitch.tv/PolarityJosh. And we're basically going to be doing the same thing over there, except we're going to be hanging out, just chatting, going back and forth. We can answer some questions. We've got a few topics that I want to get into as well. Things that we've kind of spoken about in the stream recently. But really, we're just going to be hanging out. So if you're down for that, come over. The link is in the chat right now. Thank you, Heidi. But if you're not, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for coming all the way to 50K with us. Suki and I appreciate it a lot. Keep being good, be kind, touch grass every single day. And I'll see you very soon. Exciting video coming out tomorrow or the next day. Keep an eye out for that. See you on Twitch.
Eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going on?
No matter how far you go into the dark, when you flip, you go exactly the same place to the light in our galaxy. Everything. Because everything is in balance. Everything is a polarity.
I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is.